Hello, my name is Andrea. Welcome to Life After Lupus. Well, I am going live tonight on Saturday night instead of Sunday night because I won't be available tomorrow evening and I don't want to miss this week with you. So, wanted to share one more chapter in my book, Life After Lupus, What's Your Autoimmune Name? As most of you know, I've written this book to open up the possibility of healing even inside of a chronic illness. I know when I got the diagnosis lupus, it seemed like, wow, I may have this forever. And yet that's the one thing I just didn't want to believe, which was a good thing. I didn't want to believe I would be sick for the rest of my life. So I kept looking for new ways or more ways to be healthy. And for me, that was the natural way. I healed with supplements and nutrition in terms of what I was eating. I became a vegetarian way back when. So at 30 years old, I was diagnosed with lupus, and it took me 3 years to get well. My body healed one cell at a time, and sometimes I wasn't sure if I was healing because it seemed one day just rolled into the next, and it was one bad day after another bad day. But you do the right thing long enough and give your body time to heal, and it will. That's how our bodies are made. If we get a cut on our arm, on our hand, we expect that to heal. We watch it heal day after day. It gets a little better, a little lighter until we don't see that scratch anymore. And that's exactly what happens on the inside too. We just have to do the right things. So I share with you one more chapter. This chapter is called Leaky Gut Syndrome. I'm not sure if you know, but our immune system is in our gut, our stomach, our intestinal tract. And it's so important. That's one thing that I had to heal from this leaky gut syndrome. But given enough time, doing the right things, again, this system healed for me. So leaky gut syndrome. During the healing process, I was diagnosed with leaky gut syndrome. This is a situation where the bad bacteria in the gut outgrow the good bacteria. So there's more bad than good. And the bad is very acidic and sort of like eats little pinholes, you'll see. This caused a whole host of symptoms like bloating and gas and cramps and food sensitivities, aches, pains, headaches, fatigue, etc. If you Google leaky gut syndrome, you'll see all the different things that you can sense have with it. And that leaky gut syndrome is just the lead in to more disease, if not fixed. So very important to work it out. Typically, people have to give up sugar and starchy foods that break down into sugar so that the yeast, the bad yeast, has nothing to eat and grow on. I also took a lot of probiotics and prebiotics, but those don't do a lot of good if we're continuing to feed the bad yeast, and that bad yeast feeds on sugars. So it's important to not eat the kinds of things that will break down into sugar or pure sugar, because then the bad yeast just continues to grow, and not just grow, thrive, and it continues to outgrow the good. So we end up with this pretty serious issue. At this time, I had already given up sugars and carbohydrates. So the food issue was non-existent. I didn't have to stop eating sugar because I had already stopped eating sugar. My intestinal tract eventually healed because of the food I was eating and the supplements I was taking. Within the few years that I was aggressively doctoring, I took high doses of probiotics, but this was essential to my overall healing, and I still take them today. And I take double the recommended dose today. I know that it's so important to keep the good bacteria in and just keep feeding it and not eat those things that are going to contribute to the bad bacteria taking over again. And that's all the high sugars, refined sugars, all those kinds of things. Because what happens is, so again, that bad bacteria becomes very acidic. And what does acid do? It eats things up. So it's literally eating the insides of the intestines from the inside out. So you end up with little teeny pinholes throughout the whole intestinal tract. So what does that mean? Well, that means when you eat that Big Mac just went to your fingertips and the tips of your toes and you're everywhere. Like your intestines didn't have an opportunity to protect the rest of your body from that toxic food. So it just infiltrates the entire body, and you get this whole feeling of just feeling like you have the flu every single day. the leaky gut syndrome is a pretty serious issue. And if not treated, like I said, can lead to a whole host of diseases. At the time, so this was many years ago, I was reading books on the gut and books that like naturopaths would read for their work, to learn how to do what they're doing. And they all said the same thing, that every disease starts in the gut. That's a big pill to swallow. Every disease starts in the gut. So I worked really, really hard at getting rid of this leaky gut syndrome because I knew that it would lead to even worse disease or permanent disease. We all have in our DNA some way that that we can falter a little bit, whether it's, we don't know how that's going to appear for each and every one of us. But for me, it was autoimmune. For someone else, it may be heart. For someone else, it may be something else. But if all disease starts in the gut, then it is primary for us to keep that gut in good shape. So encourage you to look into that for yourself. If you're feeling sensations of bloating and those kinds of things, that means something's just a little bit off. And then something else may not be that far off in terms of having to deal with a significant illness down the road. So important, like I said, to get the gut. And one of the things that I did, this is a little bit strange, but I did a lot of visualizations back then. I was kind of quiet because I didn't have a lot that I could do, but I could use my mind. And I also had a parasite. So I would imagine Pac-Man. I imagine this little Pac-Man game in my gut going on, and these Pac-Man shooting all these parasites. It might sound a little strange, but that was one visualization that I did. And then just imagining these really great probiotics and prebiotics just filling and growing great bacteria in my gut to be able to fight off the parasite that I was having to fight. So that is our evening for tonight in terms of the chapter, leaky gut syndrome. But I encourage you, like I said, if you're having any issues, to really look into that and see what you can do for yourself. I know typically what it's going to be is about 90 days without sugar. That will starve off the bad bacteria. Meanwhile, you're feeding your body the probiotics and prebiotics to get good bacteria in there. And this, healing does take time, especially if we're trying to heal from the inside out. So don't get discouraged if it's taking you some time. Put in the time, because if you do put in the time now, it'll reap big rewards later on. Which that's what we're working for, is the later on piece, that there's enough later on to work with and enjoy. And there has been in my case, and there can be in yours as well. So I encourage you to keep on keeping on, keep doing the things to be healthy. I know I talk a lot on my short videos about working out, keeping the body working out and physically fit. So important to get the blood pumping and sweating and just really releasing those toxins in that way, but also strengthening our bodies, strengthening the muscles in our bodies. And that doesn't mean we have to pound them, but it does mean we need to work them out a little bit so that we get the heart rate up and really work that out. And then eat good foods. Eat good foods. Your body will respond so well, like almost immediately, within a couple of days of not eating junk and working out a little bit, even if it's just starting a 10-minute walk. Start small. I always say small. Start small. Start where you are. Start doing what you can do, and it will lead to more in the end. So thanks for watching, and I hope you are encouraged. Small steps taken every single day reap big rewards. Just keep going. Thanks. Have a great week.